Hi, welcome to Sunya IS and welcome to the episode 12 of our 20 days prelim series Cut The Clutter. So the topic for today is how to study geography for prelims specifically in the last 90 days. I have divided this broad question into small subparts and I've made a checklist about it which I would want to discuss with you. I will just discuss all of them one by one, but there's one request before proceeding with the video. Kindly please bring a A4 sheet or a paper and a pen and please sit down, because the most important part of this video would, as per my side, would be that I would be telling you the broad 10 to 12 themes that geography is actually divided in. The problem with geography, studying geography, is that sometimes you are not able to segregate how many parts it has. And if you are not able to do that, then you are also not able to understand the themes. So for you to study better in the last 90 days and actually decide where to invest your focus and your time, I will be telling you 10 to 12 themes, and then out of even those, I will be telling you which are super important. So kindly please pause the video and get a A4 sheet. Okay, now the first question before discussing the themes, sources. At the end of the video, I'll also tell you that some PDFs would be attached with this and some geography class links if required at all. Most important, I would also be attaching the geography theme PYQ PDF that I would be using in this video. So all of that I will tell you later. But the first question, because we're talking about geography, the first question that arrives is why geography matters. We will just go by facts. In the past 5 to 7 years, if you will see, the weightage of the geography has been from 11 to 18 questions. Okay, now this might overlap sometimes with human geography, sometimes it can lap with economy, agriculture, sometimes it can also overlap with international institutions. For example, we got a question on coffee board. Now, is that a geography question? Is that an institution question? Is it a current affair question? But overall, since these questions are overlapping, we cannot exactly point out that what questions are for geography. So we will roughly assume that 11, 12 to directly would be coming from geography, core geography. And even if not that, then there will be few more questions that would have an overlap whose core will lie in geography, the nuanced understanding of your geographical concepts. So firstly, it is important because 15 questions, let us assume, 30 marks. So it cannot be taken for granted, right? Good thing about geography is it's its weightage. Second good thing about geography is that compared to some obscure subjects like an ancient history, geography questions are predictable. If done properly, at least out of 18 to 20 questions, you can do 11 and 12 right, and most sincere aspirants do them right. So you also cannot miss out on them, okay? So now that we are sure that yes, it has to be done. Second good thing about geography is, on which I have based my whole video, is that if you're able to actually pick out important themes in geography, then trust me, your preparation will be elevated by a lot. Now, right now, if you're not very sure what actually does geography consist, what is physical geography, even within physical geography, what are the subparts, then from where to read it, then you might be feeling that geography is a little difficult. But now after this video, when you are once clear with a checklist, 12 subparts that yes, this is geography, then you will be able to target your study better. So second point is that the questions are doable, but then PYQ repetition is also happening, but then is the source also fixed? Thankfully for geography, yes, it is. Again, unlike history, where nowadays we observe some obscure questions and we keep on doubting our sources, for geography, the good part is that sources are mostly fixed. So I think before telling you the themes, I will tell you the geography sources that I have been using across attempts. For geography, these two books, Fundamentals of Physical Geography, and then this book, both blue books, I think are the standard books that you cannot skip. You have to read them. Apart from this, what I read a little, that I can tell you, and you can consider it as optional, but these two books have to happen. The good thing about geography is that around 70 to 80% questions still are picked up line by line from these two books. These are NCERT's standard books So you have to read them, and I'm assuming until now, if you're a sincere aspirant, you anyways would have read these two books. So if you are still confused about what the geography sources are, I will confirm this with you that yes, these two books actually form the basics of understanding geography. The other two books, that human geography one, that if you, and people and India, if you have to read it, if you don't have to read it, that I will talk ahead, but these two books have to happen. Along with that, the third book, which again all of you might be knowing about, this is G.C. Leong. Now, this book is a beautifully written book, and it is actually a book which can explain concepts very beautifully. But we are also talking about what to do for geography in the last 90 days. So, reading this book is not compulsory, because the first part of this book is majorly overlapping with NCERT, which is the physical geography. So first, this book is divided into two parts. I never read the first part from this because that I referred to from NCERT. But yes, the second part I did read from this. That would be from chapter number 13, because that part is about weather, vegetation, and I just feel that these questions usually are repeated a lot, and then again they have an overlap with environment. So I did read the second part of this book. It also has chapters about biomes, which again becomes very important. If you will see the themes, you will realize that biome is an important part, the vegetation is an important part. So overall, my source for geography was these two books, the second part of G.C. Leong. But even together, this was only 50%. The rest 50% was this one document. Okay, I am going to explain to you what this document is. I will tell you how this is divided theme wise, but I would genuinely request you that you will find this in the description. We will attach the Telegram link where you can find all this, the geography class links and everything that I'm going to put. Please download this document, and if you now, even from now, start working on it and start observing the themes, geography will become a little easier for you. Okay. So now, firstly, okay, I'll make you write down the themes. I'll just go through them quickly. You can just, stop and write, and then post that I will discuss with you what is the order of importance. So the first theme that I have chosen is Indian mapping. Within it, mountain passes, lakes, rivers can happen. First pillar would be Indian mapping. Second would be world mapping. Again, different things can come within it, but second major pillar is world mapping. Third would be places in news in India. This will be a little different from your static mapping, like mountain passes and all are fine, but then places in India usually overlap with the environment factor. That is why I kept it as a separate pillar. These three mapping pillars are done. Fourth would be natural vegetation. Fifth would be agriculture, and sixth would be atmosphere. These are the first six pillars, and now jumping on to the core pillars. Seventh would be climatology. I think out of all the pillars that I'm going to talk about, climatology remains the core. Firstly, climatology questions will come. Every year they will come. They are repeated theme wise, and these questions can be solved from NCERT. So please, even if out of this list you have to choose, climatology should be something that you should be giving your maximum time upon. Next would be oceanography. And then finally would be physiography, and then within physiography some general part and other would be specific to India, which you will find in this book. Okay, so roughly I think they are not even 12, they are roughly 10 themes. I hope you have taken the note of it. Now coming to how to actually practice these themes, how to understand these themes. If you will read NCERT just in one go, starting from chapter 1 to the last, although this is a NCERT, I think this book is a difficult read. I mean, I remember when I had started reading this, it took a lot of time for me to actually understand the nuanced concept that is had. And you have to understand it anyhow. But if you just read it without having any idea that what is important, what is not, it will become even more difficult. So, in the fundamentals of physical geography, your core focus should be firstly on climatology and then on oceanography and the part of atmosphere. Climatology, I would again like to repeat, is a very important part of geography, and until unless you have a deep understanding of those concepts, even the application based concept. For example, geography has, I was going to talk about it, geography has a very big portion of current affairs. Do not assume that everything comes from static. So even if you find a question from some climatological factor, you will realize that that is asked because something related to that happened recently. Maybe it will be a cyclone, maybe it will be forest fire. So even if you're getting a question that might seem very static, you will realize that it is asked that because that phenomena was in news. El Nino, La Nina, you would have seen that in past 2-3 years we have been getting questions. Then that part also overlaps with climate change, which is one of the biggest concerns we are facing now. So even if you do just the current without knowing climatology properly, you will not be able to solve this question. It has to be a balance of both, where firstly you understand the static from NCERTs, and then when you refer to the geography current affairs, you actually decided that okay, this is in news, so I will revise it a little more from the static. It has to be a balance of both static and current. Okay. Now, again, although I have given you the 10 themes, the 4 broad parts of geography within which these themes fall are: firstly, human geography; secondly, economic geography; third would be physical geography; and fourth would be Indian. Now, out of all these 4, if I have to decide the order of importance, although please, these 4 you should try to do properly. You still have 80-85 days, so you should at least do the bare minimum. The most important, as per my understanding, is physical geography. That is why this blue book becomes very important. Physical geography forms the core understanding of geography, and until and unless you do it properly, you will not be able to proceed with geography questions comfortably. So the most important of this would be physical geography, and within it what divisions fall, I have made you write that. Second would be, as per my understanding, economic geography. But the NCERT, that economic geography, I think it is 11th or 12th, the data from it, which has a little bit of human geography also, the data is outdated, that yellow book. So rather than you referring to that, you need, I think, to study that part. That would be a little bit of agriculture and everything. You need to study it from economy and a little bit of environment rather than using that NCERT. Third would be human geography. Human geography, again, I feel not a lot of questions are asked, and sometimes even if questions come, then they are not solvable from basic books. So rather than going for too much into human geography, you should try to inculcate it with economy, because there then from economic survey and then what are the trends, budget, human geography, you will be able to study better. And the fourth part, Indian geography, again, in the last 2-3 years, I have observed that the questions from Indian geography have been a little less, or sometimes they're overlapping, so you're not able to directly point out that okay, this is a question from Indian geography. But again, whenever you get matching questions in those rivers, mountains, which tributaries, although these kind of questions have decreased, but they still exist. So Indian geography also needs to be covered. The good part again is that for Indian geography, we have a proper book, this one. Okay, so you need to do these 2 books, these 4 pillars, and within which sub pillars I have told you, this should be your blueprint. Now, at least you have a checklist as to what to do. Okay. Coming to the second part, now we have talked about all the pillars. You would be noticing that the first 3 pillars that I talked about, which is also a pain point for a lot of aspirants, are mapping. Indian mapping, world mapping, places in news. How to do it, from where to do it, how much to do it. I will divide the aspirants in 3 categories. If you are someone who has done mapping through Atlas throughout the year, you have taken the effort of actually doing it how it should be done. That is, every time you study something from NCERT, you at the same time mark it on Atlas. Then probably you would be good to go for mapping, because then you just need to have a collection of places in news and you will actually have a context about them. They would not just be random places. You would not be surprised कि ये है कहाँ. Then probably you will be comfortable with mapping. So then the only thing that you need to do is pick up a current affair compilation which has places in news and pay focus to the areas of it, around it, and that particular area. But then I also know that aspirants from this one category, the gold tier category, would be very less, because doing that effort of actually opening Atlas again and again is a little painstaking, and most of us don't do it. Now category 2 of aspirants who have a little idea about mapping, they are not very sure continent wise or state wise what is happening, but they do have a rough idea. For you, I would be attaching a mapping playlist, both Indian and world. Ankit sir has covered it. Actually, he is doing it. It's an ongoing playlist. So it will also be interactive. My advice to you would be for the category 2 aspirants that before directly jumping to the compilation of places in news, please do it 15, 20 minutes daily and complete that playlist so that you have a basic understanding. Ankit sir has actually tried to make it very easy because in mapping beyond a point you have to memorize through by making shortcuts or something. You have to memorize. So if you use that playlist wisely, secondly, to use it wisely, right now only I'm telling that mapping is not something that can be digested in one day. It will not happen that you will sit for 24 hours and then mapping would be done, or you will dedicate whole 1 week to mapping and it will be done. No, that won't happen. So you need to use that playlist by dividing it into small parts. Even if a video is 1 hour long, you can divide it into 2 parts. Maybe do 30 minutes daily. To become proficient in mapping part, daily efforts have to be put rather than doing it all at once. So for category 2 aspirants, my advice is don't directly jump to the current affair compilation. Please strengthen your basics. You have time. Even if for the next 30 days from the day you are watching this, even if you use that playlist properly and put little 15-20 minutes extra efforts daily from your side, those questions of mapping that come pair wise, you will be able to solve them. Okay. And now the third category of aspirants, you haven't worked on map at all. You lack the basic understanding of the world map, the globe, and then you also don't want to miss out on the mapping questions. Firstly, I'm going to be very honest. If you have not done anything regarding mapping at all, you have not marked the mountain peaks or something, you have not observed what are the important areas, it would be a little difficult. But for you and even for category 1 and 2 aspirants, this document, the first 2 themes have all the geography mapping questions at one place. Whatever was asked from India, all at one place, and then whatever was asked from the world, everything at one place. The first task that all 3 category of aspirants have to do is you have to see all of that questions at once. Then you will realize that even though mapping seems like undoable, there are certain places, certain areas, certain mountain peaks, certain passes that UPSC likes and it repeats. So in order to put a bracket to ki, this is only what we want to do, this should be your guide. All 3 category aspirants firstly look at the document and observe. Rather than, you cannot learn every mountain pass from every continent and every desert from every continent. Not possible. So how do you actually limit it? You observe that what is it that is being frequently repeated, and you will be actually surprised. That is why this document is gold, because if you want to actually understand how important a theme is, firstly you need to see the number of questions that were asked all at one place rather than year wise. Then you will not be able to do it properly. Firstly, when you will observe, okay, this theme has 20 questions under it, automatically you will realize that this theme is so important. So firstly, that is why this document is gold, and secondly, you will be able to immediately spot that, see, within 5 years this is being repeated again and again. So then you can at least do them. Even for third category aspirants, I would advise, please don't directly jump to the places in news. If we don't have any context about what that place is, then it just becomes another PDF for us to rectify. And the kind of questions that come in mapping, most of them, at least since 3-4 years, firstly are pair based. Options would be pair and they would be match the column like. So the scope of elimination in this question is almost zero, until unless you exactly know that what place is it. For example, in world mapping, we get a lot of questions from region of conflicts. If some conflict is unfortunately happening, then questions will come out of that. But to solve those questions, you need to at least have a basic idea of what is there in that conflict region. What is the location? What is it all around? Uske aspas kya hai? Something you should have an idea. So for category 2 and 3 aspirants, firstly try to use the playlist that I'm going to attach. Those playlists are very crisp. It's not like it's going to take whole of your day. Divide it into small chunks. Work on it daily and then jump to places in news, the compilation, or if you have made notes or if you want to watch a video, wherever they are, whatever, it can be your own source, whatever you have decided, then when you will try to memorize them, it will become a little easy. Okay, so now this was about mapping. I have told you the sources that I think are non-negotiable. I've also told you that those other two NCRTs, you can either skip or skim through them because I feel that the data from that is outdated. Then another important part I wanted to discuss with you. Okay, yes. Theme 5, agriculture. Please don't ignore this theme. Sometimes aspirants think when they're doing geography, they think they will do it with environment. When they're studying environment, they think they will do agriculture with eco. And somehow at the end of the day, you actually don't prepare this theme well. Again, when you check this document, you will realize that in the particular theme of agriculture, in the last 7 years, we have roughly around 25 questions. Think about it, how important it becomes. And when you will see all those questions written at one place, immediately you will be able to integrate that what is important in agriculture. One question that I constantly get that, ma'am, everybody tells that we have to analyze PYQs, we have to integrate PYQs. When should we do them? How should we do them? Answer to this is, firstly, there would be a video, I think day 7, where I have detailed and discussed in detail that how much PYQs have to happen, when they have to happen, how they have to happen, everything. And then another question, how to integrate them or how to actually analyze them. What does analyzing actually mean? It simply means that you are able to spot a pattern of repeated themes, and then while studying you focus on those themes. This is it. You don't need to keep asking someone else that please do it for me. What do you think is important? You decide it for yourself. I have made it a little easy that I have provided you with themes. Okay, the questions are divided. But now you need to work with this. Rather than falling for shortcuts, asking someone else that what important theme do you think it is, you should depend on your own self, work on this document and decide for your own self what is important. And once you're able to do it, your study will become very streamlined. Then if any obscure question is asked in test series, then you will realize that even if it is a part of test series, I should not be worrying about it if I'm getting it wrong, because this is nowhere related to PYQs. On the contrary, if you would have missed some important part even while studying the book again and again, you will, when you see this document, you'll be able to realize that I might have missed this. So then you'll be able to integrate it well within time. Okay. So I think that was all from my side regarding geography. The last important things that I want to reiterate would be, firstly, please don't skip NCRTs. They are non-negotiable. Secondly, mapping has to happen. It is a core part of geography. Do not try to take any shortcuts. Whatever time you are having, I know the time is less, but even then, daily 15 minutes efforts you put, you will improve. But daily it has to happen. And thirdly, please don't study blindly. Please understand the 4 core pillars, within it the sub pillars. Firstly, segregate it, write it on a sheet, and then when you are completing one pillar, put a tick mark. It will help you give a sense of completion. You won't feel lost, and then overall you will be able to revise better. Okay, you will find the description you will find the PDF of this document. I will also attach the geography marathon class that Kuldeep sir has taken very recently. If you are facing difficulties in understanding the basic concept, for example climatology, physiography, then you can take a look at that video. And thirdly, I would be attaching the mapping playlist by Ankit sir, which I highly recommend you refer, because he has made things very easy. And if you have already done classes from somewhere, then please stick to your notes. Then I am only attaching this for people who would want to do the bare minimum if you have not prepared until now. If you've already done it, then well enough, whatever you would have done would be good. Just stick to it. But this document, irrespective of how much you have done from your side, this is one request that please at least take a look at this and try to understand the themes. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.